Good morning, beautiful Warsaw. Very, very gorgeous day today. A little chilly, but sunny, even though the weather forecast was for it to be cloudy. So it's nice and sunny today, gorgeous. And right now I gotta do something that is probably not my favorite thing to do, but it's a necessary thing to do. Is I gotta go to the immigration office, the foreigners office, and see if they can give me a visa extension. Now I got my documents here. I got my US passport and I got my permanent residence, Ukrainian, and so that should hopefully help it out. I did call them the other day and they said that yes, they should be able to extend the right to stay here for a little longer, so that would be great. And I really don't need a PESEL or any subsidies or anything from any kind of help from the state. I just want to, legally stay here a little longer until me and Marina can figure out kind of the next steps. And the fact that I'm going there today kind of reminded me of the fact that I've done this so many times in different countries around the world that, I'm kind of like, well, I've done it before, so I kind of know what to expect, but yet every new time is like a new experience. And I think you could relate if you have ever immigrated to another country. But having said that, I do envy people that have EU citizenship, because you can simply move somewhere else and you don't need to worry about needing to legalize your right if you want to move to Spain or Portugal or Germany or wherever. It's very, very easy. So that's a huge plus, I think, of EU. All right, so I made it here. I think this is close to the airport somewhere, all the way in the southern part, near the edge of town. And so I hope things are gonna go well. All right, so I just stopped by there. There was no line. I expected it to be a lot worse. And now they're sending me to another office. So I told them that they originally sent me here, but apparently I need to go to another place. So I'm gonna go to this other place. They gave me the address. I'm gonna check it out and we'll go from there. So I still need to get that immigration thing sorted out, and I think I'm gonna do that maybe tomorrow. And today I just want to chill. I just want to really get the feel for the city. So Marina is working. She has a lot of work. She's gonna be working at home today, and that's actually a great thing, because it's good that she has work. But for me, I love exploring new cities. I love just wandering, and I love big cities. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get on some bus or a tram and just head to the center somewhere. Maybe some area where there's things are happening there. I don't know exactly where that center is, but somewhere towards the center, towards the river, and see what we can find, and then share with you some of the impressions that I have of the city, combined with my expectations, with my kind of thoughts that I had beforehand, and see if some of these expectations materialize. But to tell you right off the bat, I really did not have much expectations, because everybody was pretty much telling us to go to some of the other cities. This city was never number one on the list, for many of you at least. And so I don't really have crazy expectations, and that's a good thing. Alright, so I got this ticket, this one-day ticket, just validated by scanning a QR code in the tram, and so that should be good for a day. which is pretty cool. Alright, so I just got off somewhere in the center. I think the station was Hoja. And yeah, this looks like the center to me, at least. To some extent, definitely more of a livelier place than where we're living now. So I think one of my first reactions when I came to Warsaw, and especially I think this is applicable to Warsaw, was to compare it with a city like Kiev, because, well, Ukraine and Poland, they have a border. There's some cultural ties, some cultural similarities. But the more I spent time in kind of Poland, and really time in Polish cities, the more I realized that it's just not the right comparison to make, because Kiev, it's a great city. It's a great city, but it needs a lot of work. And Warsaw is, from what I've seen so far, it's a very modern city. Things are, you have great roads here, you have modern trams, you have new kind of these building developments that are happening. It's very, very modern. Reminds me a little bit of the Baltic countries. And Kiev unfortunately is behind on all of that. The roads are not of the best quality. You have cars parking on the sidewalks where they shouldn't. And so I don't even know if it's the right comparison. I think Warsaw should be compared to other Central European cities. And really, Western European cities to some extent. Because even though they're closer, kind of close geographically, they're really, ages apart in many ways. Now I believe this area is actually the center. I think it's called Śródmieście. I believe that means center or downtown. And judging by the number of people here, this could be at least part of the center. I don't know if this is like the main center. And so you have some really cool buildings, like this one right here that I've seen in Gdynia, that takes up a whole block. It all has these small balconies, very, very cool. And then on the other side, you have these random, very, very different kind of office buildings. You have that big hotel over there that is not out of place in countries, I guess, that had communism, if I could say that. When I was in Serbia, I've seen kind of buildings that look like that. And even though Serbia was never part of Soviet Union, it did have a kind of a communist government. So there's that. Then you have these big tall buildings here, this Novotel that me and Marina stayed in Vilnius. So you kind of have a mix of lots of things. There in the distance you see construction happening. So lots of things are happening here. I guess the city is changing. They're doing the one of the train station that we arrived here on, and then you have the really tall buildings, and that building kind of reminds me of a building we have in Kiev as well. Very, very similar architecture. And so you have one type of architecture, then you have another one, kind of a more modern one over there, which is pretty cool. Contrasting styles there. There's some more colors over there, familiar ones. That is a cool building, now that I've gotten closer to it. And it says Palace of Culture and Science. I can translate that already. Very, very cool building. Looks like there's some construction going on near it, but it looks awesome. And this seems to me like a Warsaw's Fifth Avenue. It's so busy, lots of people, lots of stores, lots of things going on. And I can tell you that as a big city guy, I was born in a relatively big city, grew up in New York City, and was just living in Kiev. Kiev, I think, is like twice as big as Warsaw, I think, or at least it used to be, right? Who knows? I think it was like 3.5 million, and Warsaw, I believe, is 1.7 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. I love big cities because you can kind of pick your own little neighborhood, your own little thing, and then you can, you know, visit other neighborhoods once you get tired of yours. And you never really get sick and tired of the city because there's always something new to explore. That's kind of why I like big cities. Another thing that I really like about big cities is their metro systems. And so that's what we're going to be doing now. I want to check out Warsaw's metro to see how it is, how it works, how it feels. That was the metro. Very, very clean, very modern, not too packed. Well, at least it's 4 p.m, so not too bad. And here we are near the river. In English, I think it's called Vistula. In Polish, I probably can't even pronounce it, what it's called. This is kind of the main river here in Warsaw, which kind of divides the city, I guess, into the left bank and the right bank. Now, I have heard that on the other side, it's not like the best areas. It's not like a place that you want to be. And really, for tourists, there's really nothing for them to do there. I don't know if that's true. I would love to hear from you guys. But this is similar with Kiev. We have the Dnieper river as well, and we have the right side and the left side. If you're looking at it from the north, so the left side on the map would be called Prawy Берег, which means kind of the right hand side. And then the right side on the map would be called the left side, because you're looking at it from the north, which is kind of how the river flows from the north to the south. So there's this glorious river, and you have like a nice kind of a riverfront kind of area to walk on, a little place that's going to be really, really cool in the summer when the temperatures are going to pick up and it's going to be sunny. So in front of us we have something that seems to be called the planetarium. And what I like about Poland, and this is something I noticed like in different cities here and there, is that when they try to build new buildings or something new, they really try, you know, to build something nice. Right, they're not going to build something ordinary if they can build something extraordinary, something like this. And right away, this looks cool, this looks interesting. You know, it doesn't look like a common thing somebody would build. Really, really cool. You know, it gets your attention, people take pictures, it gets publicity, it gets PR, and you know, people like it, they have good things to say about it. So if you take a look at those apartments over there, they look great. You know, this is the style that I personally like. These big balconies, lots of glass, very, very modern. I'm curious how much are apartments over there to rent, if they are for rent, or maybe it's just to buy. But that looks like really nice developments. And the thing about, you know, I guess Poland in a way is that there's probably lots of developments like this, whereas in Kiev, you really, really have to look hard. You really, really have to search around to find like a truly modern development that wasn't really done as an afterthought. It's getting better, but at this point in time, that's kind of what we have. From Kiev, with love. Another thing I really like about Poland is that when you cross a sidewalk, and it's like a regular pedestrian sidewalk, no street lights or anything, they stop even before you start crossing the sidewalk. They stop. In Ukraine, it doesn't happen. In Ukraine, you have to you know, you gotta start walking, and then they will stop, or maybe, you know, maybe they won't. But here in Poland, they just stop like immediately when they see you a mile away, you know, starting to walk. All right, so check this out, guys. I got a little bit closer to these apartments here, and this is Lux Dome. And I would have to guess this is kind of expensive. I guess it's one of these things, if you gotta ask, you can't afford it. And then on the other side, we have this kind of this brick style apartments, or residential or commercial buildings. They have some stores. Those are probably apartments. Very, very modern, very cool. Kind of reminds me of a neighborhood in Brooklyn, a certain neighborhood, such as Brooklyn Heights, or one of the neighborhoods nearby. That kind of light brown, dark brown brick style. Very, very cool. One thing I noticed just from being here a couple of days, it's a city of contrasts. Look at this development here. Very, very clean, very, very modern. And look what we have just opposite, across the street. Very different. Very different. Not so modern, you know, in a way. And then the same thing just next to it over there. Not the most modern thing. And here we have a completely different development. You have these little kind of a gate here, a door. You have like a ground level little area, little patio there, which is kind of cool. Look at that building with the leaves growing on the walls over there. That's a very, very cool greenish, kind of this light green color. Interesting. May have even have some words on it on the side. Let's see what it has. That's pretty cool. Look at that. Wow. What is all of this? I gotta get my Google Translate on it to translate all of this. Well, that's unique. Very interesting. Okay, so that's Greek. Is this Russian or what is this? Oh, Bulgaria? Kind of understand some of the words here. Some Slavic. And then we have, look at that, we have Greek, we have Arabic. What do we have over there? What is that? Is that Hebrew? It could be. It is Hebrew. It is Hebrew. We have Sanskrit. Wow. That's pretty cool. That is awesome. Or is that Hindi, perhaps? And then what do we have over there? We have some math equations. Pi. Other equations, musical notes. Very, very cool. Very cool and interesting building. And so far, what I've been, you know, seeing is more of a modern type Warsaw. And here I just turned to a random street, and this looks a little bit more old school. This is ulica Marienstadt, and look at this. Very, very, very interesting. You know, completely different from that kind of modern architecture. And you know, all the buildings are like pretty much in the same style. These kind of just slightly different colors. These kind of pastel colors. Very cool. Very, very cool. You got a square up there in front of me, and more of these buildings. Here it says ulica Marienstadt, and you have all of these buildings. Maybe even, yeah, you even have a church up there on the hill, which is cool as well. You have a tram there. Cool little neighborhood. I'm curious how big it is. How many streets does it cover? You got lots of parks, lots of green stuff, and you got more of these buildings up there in front of me that we can check out. This is awesome. I think this would be even cooler in the summer, once the weather kind of picks up, maybe in a month or so. Very nice neighborhood. So it seems to me that Warsaw is kind of, it's a little bit of everything. You know, you want your modern, you got your modern. You want your, you know, top shelf restaurants, you got that. You want a little bit of a historical kind of area, you got this as well. This is like a little square here, and you can wander, you can come here, maybe have some ice cream, have some food on the terrace. Very, very cool, very interesting. And so I think in big cities, if my experience serves me right, is that you kind of have to wander the city. That is what I like to do. I like to wander it, just kind of get the feel for it, you know, feel it out. And then I can decide, all right, look, I like this neighborhood, we like that neighborhood. And that is exactly what we need to be doing this month, in the next, you know, in this week, next week, like, because, you know, we need to rent an apartment for longer periods of time. We need to rent a bigger apartment. And so we want to kind of feel the city out. Do we want to live in a more of a modern apartment? Do we want to live in the same neighborhood where we are living now? Do we want to live closer to the happening things in the city? Do we want to live a little bit farther? You got to feel the city out. And that's, you know, that's very true when it comes to bigger cities. In smaller cities, you don't really have to do that. But the bigger the city, the more you gotta feel it out. You know, I was in Mexico City for a while. Huge city, 25 million inhabitants. And it has neighborhoods for everybody. You know, you want this neighborhood, you want that neighborhood, you want something chill, you want something full of action. You can find it. So I think it's the same situation here to some extent. And so when Marina is gonna have a little bit more time, especially on the weekend, we're gonna walk around. We're gonna be doing a little bit of sightseeing, looking at different neighborhoods, going by your suggestions, stuff like that, because we will definitely be needing to get a bigger apartment, you know, down the road. And so here's that main square, and it looks amazing, looks beautiful. Very old school, kind of very historic looking buildings. That paint is chipping off, looks great. And then you have this beautiful scenic hill and a church on top of the hill. So I'm gonna go and check that out real quick. And as I'm walking up this hill, I see some interesting buildings down over there, past the bridge on the other side. That looks pretty cool. They got coffee shops, looks like some outdoor seating. Definitely gotta check that out, what that is. And there we have it, this big pedestrian street on both sides. Very nice architecture, beautiful buildings. I have no idea what this neighborhood is called, but it reminds me a little bit of Lublin, but it's probably very similar in a lot of Polish cities and towns. But beautiful architecture, nothing modern here, very kind of old school. Yeah, this is definitely a scenic area. Once the weather gets a little bit better and Marina has less work, we gotta definitely come here together, just to kind of take a look, walk around, have some food, have some ice cream. When you come around this whole thing, you see this gorgeous view of a stadium. Looks like a really cool stadium to check out. Maybe go for a soccer match or a football match one time, just to see what it's like, to feel out the ambience. There's the view. Look at that view. Cool view. Cool view of that stadium in the distance. Now I actually need to take one of these trams to another area I want to check out. So I'm going to be taking one of these trams to right here, to this area here, which looks like it could be interesting as well. And that is what we're going to be doing right now. And here we are back into one of these kind of main busy streets. Not too historical like that other street, like that other neighborhood, but nevertheless a street with a lot of action, a lot of traffic, restaurants, people, stuff going on. So the more I wander around the city, the more I think I'm beginning to realize that I need to wander some of these smaller streets, these narrower streets, not these main wide streets where, you know, there's a lot of foot traffic, but I need to go and find some of these little streets with these little cool bistros, nice little restaurants, stuff like that. I think that's gonna be the ticket here. I think that's gonna be the secret, and that's gonna take some time. That's gonna definitely take some time, but I think it's gonna be well worth it in the end. Because obviously on a street like this, I don't see myself coming and, you know, going out and, you know, just chilling. I think it's gonna be one of these little cozier neighborhoods with maybe some outdoor coffee shops, some outdoor cafes, stuff like that. So if you guys know of something, you know, that little street, you know, very cozy type street where you can go and, you know, have a nice meal, definitely do let me know. One thing I can definitely tell you is that I'm definitely hearing more Russian and Ukrainian here, and it's probably no surprise because this is the capital. And I think if people want to immigrate somewhere for a better life, regardless if they're from Ukraine, Belarus, probably Warsaw is going to be up there on the list. Even though a lot of you have mentioned that there are much better cities out there, but I think Warsaw is the capital, and there's enough opportunities here for sure. Here's a little street with a bunch of outdoor coffee shops. A little nice area here to wander around. Jeden herbata?
Na miejscu herbata.
Na miejscu, aha. Tak, tak. Karta? Just stop by this coffee shop real quick to have some tea. Looks like a brownie of some sort or some chocolate thing. We want to go for Marina. I may also get a couple of more to go as well. And gotta get Marina something too, because she's working hard right now. And I am sightseeing. Got the scooter right here. I love scooters, and they got a ton of them here in Warsaw. So that's gonna be a great way to get around for sure. Now, one thing here in Poland that I came to realize is that once again I'm a foreigner, and that means not understanding what people are telling me perfectly. That means not being able to communicate with people freely. That means asking people to repeat themselves in English. And I've been a foreigner before in various countries, but, you know, I've lived in the US, I have lived in Ukraine, where, you know, I'm not a foreigner because I speak the languages. I've also lived in a bunch of other countries where I was fortunate enough that I learned the local languages, which meant that I can be very, very comfortable in those countries. But there's only so many languages you can learn and so many countries you can live before you end up in a country where you do not speak the local language, such as here. So it's definitely tough. It definitely takes me out of my comfort zone and definitely makes me feel uncomfortable. But I'll have to figure out a solution to it one way or another.